Hey everyone, this is Meyer, and in this video what I'm going to do is, unlike my other videos where I tend to talk about a more technical production related thing, in this video I want to give some advice to new producers or up and coming producers. This is 5 pieces of advice that I wish I knew when I was getting started that I've kind of learned over the years, and I hope to impart this wisdom onto you. So the first one is to remember that hard work is always greater than talent. In fact, I think the idea of talent when it comes to music production is actually kind of a myth. Keep in mind, nobody is born knowing how to use a digital audio workstation, knowing how to program synthesizers or anything like that. And for all the producers out there that look like they really have been born with all this talent and they've always been able to do it, is often years and years, if not decades, of just hard work, producing and trial and error and just figuring things out. Now, some people may appear to have a leg up because maybe they've taken piano lessons or had other sorts of lessons. Maybe they're trained classically and other things like that. That will all help. But the thing is you don't know that. So I would say don't compare yourself to other people. Focus on you and developing your own skills, not other people. It used to bother me when I was getting started, back when I was a teenager, that there were people that were, my age or younger than me that seemed to produce better music. And I think maybe there was even a part of me at the time who was a little bit bitter. And I would encourage you to look at these people around you and rather than being jealous about it, see them as an example and take the mindset of, hey, look, if they can do it, if they can learn to do this and make great music, then I can. It's not impossible for me. Rather than, oh, they must have some particular thing that I don't have. Think about it the other way and say, hey, look, this person can do it. Well, there's nothing, really different between us other than I just need to work at it and practice it. And there are a lot of cool tools I can use to get to that point as well now. So I would say definitely adopt that attitude. It'll be more helpful for you because after all, it's about you developing your skills, not about anybody else. Second piece of advice, of course, is just super obvious. Practice, practice, practice. Even artists who break into the scene in EDM, people like Martin Garrix, when he was 16, had his hit Animals. Usually they'd been producing a long time. Garrix had other songs that he had produced and even other songs that had done reasonably well on Beatport at the time. And as a result, some people get lucky. They have one hit and it's just, one of their first songs. But in this day and age, it often takes time, sometimes even years, to get to that point where you have a song that's ready to just be released and at that quality that you'd like. And part of this practicing is developing your ear over time to what sounds good and to what you need to do to get your track to sound like the ones that you want it to sound like. My initial mixes were trash until I got better, not just technically, but also in terms of hearing what the difference was between where I was and where I needed to be, because at the time I simply didn't know what I didn't know. One of the ways you can do this is to challenge yourself by sort of creating these fun, almost like little games for yourself, like trying using different plugins or different synthesizers. Sometimes what I'll try to do is make a track using only free plugins, or I'll try creating a track in a new key or a new mode that I haven't used before. This is what Bach used to do. He's like, I'm going to write a track in every, scale or a song. He's going to write a song. I guess they didn't call them tracks back then. You can try making a remix using a vocal. And then you can just take the vocal out and now you have an original track that you can then either add your own vocal to or now you just have a new track you can do. This is something that Armin van Buuren once said you can always do. Or you can just create a whole track, create all the sounds from scratch, or swap out the sounds if you're using presets with ones you've created yourself if you want to learn sound design as well. Third piece of advice I would say is just get good at handling rejection. Do you think the first track someone makes is good enough to necessarily be a hit? I would say no. It takes time, it takes failure, it takes just kind of perseverance. And the people that don't succeed are the ones who give up. Once you've been producing for a bit, you can send your tracks to labels, but be sure you're actually doing this before you're actually sending it to labels. Some people say you miss all the shots you can't take. The only way your track can get signed is if you send it to labels. It's certainly not going to get signed if it's sitting on your hard drive, never being sent for feedback and never being sent to labels. So keep that in mind. There are a lot of people who fail because they're afraid of rejection or afraid of failing. In this case, the irony is their failure is due to their fear of rejection or failure itself. And if they got over that fear, they actually wouldn't fail. It's this kind of weird irony. You can write some sort of tragedy about this, I guess, but it is what it is. So don't be afraid. Everyone gets rejected. Even sometimes I will get one of my tracks rejected from labels. And sometimes it's just because it's not what they're looking for or it's not the right fit. So you can't take it personally. If you put yourself in the A&R's position, they may be trying to promote artists that they already have on the label. So accepting a song from a new artist, they may have the bar super, super high for you because you've never released a track with them before. So there are all these politics that can happen behind the scenes. So don't take it personally. What you need to do is just go on to the next label and keep trying. And if none of that works, then just move on to the next song. Keep trying. Know that eventually you're going to have that song that's going to be released, and it may take time. It may take more work, but you'll get there eventually. Just keep going. Never give up. The next thing, the fourth piece of advice, is complete projects and move on. There's kind of this weird balance. I used to start a lot of projects and never really finish them, but also, I would get into this point where I would have a project and I just sort of endlessly tweak it and never really finish it either. So I was having this problem where I would never really complete any songs. And you need to find a balance between actually developing your skills to be able to complete a track, but also knowing when to say, this is done, I need to move on with this project. Leonardo da Vinci once said, art is never finished, it's only abandoned. And what I would say is you're going to develop your skills more if you go through the whole process of making a project into a full song. So I used to struggle a lot with breaking out of what I call the 8-bar loop, where I'd have a melody, I'd have some of the parts there, but I didn't really know how to take it into a full song. And there are a lot of things you can learn that you can only learn by creating a more full track, things like a mix down, things like different transitions between section, things like mastering, writing intro melodies, these sorts of things. So it's really important to push yourself to take your ideas that you have, find an idea that you like, and try turning it into a new song, because then you're practicing other skills that are important to the production process. And I'll probably make a video on turning an 8-bar loop into a full track or a sort of demo and things like that. So a big part of this I see people struggle with is knowing how to structure your track, and this is where using other tracks as references can really help. Here in trance, especially uplifting trance, a lot of the structure can be decided for you because of how the DJ will be playing it. So you can see my masterclass on DJ that may not be out by the time you see this video, but also some of my videos where I produce full tracks. You'll see how you can use other tracks as a guide when you're getting started for understanding this structure until you listen to enough music and get the intuition to do this on your own. And what can really help here is just following the kick drum of another track. You can, of course, adjust the length of sections as needed once you lay it out, but that can be really helpful for knowing where the major parts and sections are. The fifth piece of advice I would say is never stop learning. Keep learning new tricks, keep pushing yourself. Sometimes you'll learn something from an entirely new genre or style that you would never think would work in the genre that you're working with, but it ends up working really well. Or experiment with other genres just kind of for fun. You can learn a lot from incorporating ideas from other completely different styles into your genre, and that can help for you to create your own sound. I remember talking to Shantias one time, and he told me, and we were talking about one of the tracks he made, and he said, yeah, the way I did this kind of techie trance song is I got sounds from drum and bass, and that's how I got it to sound really aggressive. And it was really cool. I hadn't really thought about using drum and bass sounds in a trance track, but that's how he got the exact sound for a really unique sounding track. So that was really cool. The other thing you can do is try new plugins or sample packs to get new ideas. You can always get more inspired when you try something new, though there is the caution of not spending all your time buying new plugins or just all your time browsing KVR for new stuff rather than actually making music. I've certainly made this mistake as well. Also, I'd say is go out and listen to your favorite songs. You can just go take a walk or put a towel over the computer, listen, and just kind of be like, how do they do this? And think about it. And when you get back, practice recreating your favorite sounds, which will help you become a better sound designer as you learn how to train your ear and your brain to reproduce those sounds on a synthesizer. There's some good books out there, books like The Dance Music Manual by Rick Snowman. That's just a fantastic book. Sound on Sound Synth Secrets. It's a free set of articles for sound design if you want to learn more about sound design. There are also a lot of great video tutorials out there. There are some good ones from me, from Reorder. If you're an FL Studio user, James Diamond has a lot of great ones for FL Studio. And if you want to learn sound design, Shantias has some great videos as well. And lastly, the last piece of advice I would give you is have fun. Enjoy the process of producing, writing music, and growing your skills. There's a lot of value watching yourself grow and get better and better. And I remember this interview with the American rapper J. Cole, who once mentioned that you don't want to have success overnight without working for it because you'd never really be able to appreciate it. So have fun watching yourself grow and get better. And, you'll eventually listen back to the tracks you're making today. And I sometimes do this and say, wow, that was good for me at the time, but I've definitely come a long way. So have a good one and keep producing. I'll see you in the next video.